Yeah, what up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Pete Noid News. So, once a year, I usually do a predictions video, right? And we're probably going to do that later this week. But today, I want to cover somebody else's predictions for next year because I find them fucking fascinating. This year is Dmitry Medvedev. He was former president of Russia. He was also former prime minister up until 2020, appointed by Putin. And recently, he has put out a set of 10 predictions for 2023. Now, here's the thing, right? I think all of these things are going to happen. I don't think they're going to happen next year. Maybe in 5 or 10 years. I think all of them will happen, though, right? So let's start where this starts off at. With number one, an increase in oil prices to $150 a barrel and gas prices to $5,000 per 100 cubic meters. That is completely not out of the question. Like that's most definitely like completely in the ballpark, right? Whether it's from, like supply side or whether it's from delivery side, which has been delivery side as of recently, there's 100% chance that, that this will happen, right? $150 a barrel isn't even like absolutely insane because we hit $147 a barrel in 2008. Like that's not, that was what 14 years ago. So this is not completely out of the realm of question. Just putting that, this is normal. You know what I'm saying? He's starting off kind of normal and stuff, right? The return of Great Britain to the European Union. I can again 100% see that this might happen. Right. Even next year, it's a possibility. I doubt it. Like they're going to have like a referendum and a vote. Right. That happened in 2016 where they had the Brexit vote. And, Britain decided that it didn't want to be part of the EU anymore. I could 100% see like them going back, because like public sentiment being what public sentiment is and the people are very fickle. And the younger generations who are more indoctrinated through the education system now, are more open borders. We're all one people, man, dude. We're all just humans, man. I can 100% see that happening. The collapse of the European Union after the return of the UK and the abolition of the circulation of the euro as a currency of the former EU. Again, all right. So this is where like I start looking at it from a long-term perspective, right? With the population collapse that's happening in the European Union and the outbreak of, like Muslims and Sharia law over the next 10 or 15 years because of all the immigrants that they brought in and the civil unrest and just shit that's going to cause. I can 100% see a collapse in the EU, right? Because they don't see themselves as European and they're each going to want to have their own territory and they're not going to want to share with each other. Right. And like one's going to look at the other. And this is the problem. So like you can take care of each other if you all kind of look alike and had the same kind of like genealogy and you're all like, like I see little Iraqi babies, I feel away, right? Because I'm like, my kids are little tan, little homies, man. Like, why y'all killing like these kids look just like mine? Like, why are we doing this? Right. Whereas the rest of y'all like, yo, fuck them brown people. Right. I get you. You know what I'm saying? Like, see, this is kind of where this gets down to. Right. But, I can completely understand why this would cause a collapse of the EU. Right. Okay. Capture by Poland and Hungary of the western regions of the former Ukraine. Oh, man, that is super interesting, right? Like nobody's thought about it from that angle, right? But like if Poland moved in and claimed Ukraine, Ukraine would become part of NATO on some shit, right? Which goes to further like put my shit out here where like I say, I don't think Russia wants all of Ukraine. I think Russia just wants that Donbass region to have like a good transport network to be able to go to Crimea, right? They want that link to be able to like, just run trains and, semis and pipelines and all the things out to, like the Baltic Sea. Like I think that's, or Black Sea or whatever it is, right? I think that's what it is that they really actually want to do. They just want that warm water port in the end of the day. Right. So, this is something that I think that they don't really, I think that the U.S. media as a whole really drops the ball on their geopolitical understanding of things, or even exploration of the geopolitics and stuff. Okay, number 5. The creation of the Fourth Reich on the basis of Germany and the satellites that joined it, Poland, the Baltic countries, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Romania, the Kyiv Republic, and other outcasts. So, okay. This is actually a prediction that Peter Zehan made, right? And where like he was looking outwards like 20 or 30 years, looking at, Germany and the Eastern European countries and the falling birth rates, and thinking that on the understanding that you need people for a country to function, right? You're going to have to kind of expand your borders and forming into one like Eastern bloc as far as stuff is concerned would probably not be outside of the realm of possibilities. Not even on like an EU thing, but more like a single country. This is, and when you hear Fourth Reich, like you think, oh, the Third Reich, oh, Hitler, right? All this type. No, don't think of it that way, right? Think of this more as like think of it like a fourth German Empire, right? Like, like this is whatever, right? But it's going to be based on Germany, just a major block based on Germany. Don't think of it from, like a negative aspect. Like that's a different thing altogether. All right, 6. War between France and the Fourth Reich, partition of Europe, including new partition of Poland. Again, like France is going to be vying in the next few years to be the new regional dominant player, right? Because France has, other than Great Britain, France has the only navy of size. Right. And somebody's going to have to, like, once the U.S. kind of goes, you know what, because the United States citizens are just getting tired of like being the world police and protecting everybody and not getting anything the fuck out of it. Right. And literally paying for everything as a whole. These $1 trillion a year bills we have for our military, we're really getting tired of it. So once the U.S. goes, all right, we are completely sick of this. This is fucking bullshit. We're done. You know what I mean? This idea that, like Europe is going to have to take care of itself, France may end up being the power there, right? It's not outside of the realm of possibility. France used to have an empire, right? They still have they're like the second strongest, maybe third strongest navy in the world, right? After the US. So, it's a fucking possibility in the end of the day. And France and Germany kind of have this long-term back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, right? Where like Germany gets too big, France feels threatened. France attacks Germany, right? Fucking, and like they go to fucking war for a while. Britain hops in on fucking France's side. Russia attacks fucking Germany, right? And Germany always like it goes between being too strong and too weak, right? Just back and forth forever. And they've been trying to manage for about 70 years now of trying to go like, yes, we're going to be the industrial powers, right? And then like everybody going like, yeah, man, we don't like the fact that you're this fucking strong, like legit. Like France set up the EU to control fucking Germany, right? And then like Germany took that motherfucker over. Like and they used it to fuck France, like legitimately. Like France is like, we built dildo to fuck you, and then Germany fucked France with the dildo. Like it's it's goddamn tragedy and shit. All right, so now let's go to the rest of these predictions because they get way more and more interesting. I apologize. I try to say these in order, but like it just, I'm sorry. All right. Separation of Northern Ireland from the Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and a cession of the Republic of Ireland. Yeah, I don't see where like this is outside of the realm of possibilities. Like when they write these, like, because I saw this in an article, like, oh, crazy predictions from Medvedev in Russia shows they are completely out of touch. Like, how is this way out of touch? Like, the fuck you talking about? Like, there's plenty of these predictions that are completely within the realm of possibilities. You know what I mean? And this is, I don't understand why it is that they're not fucking linked, like legitimately. Right? All right. 8. This is where like the powers that be get real fucking skitsy, right? they feel that their little buttholes pucker reading this one. 8. The American Civil War, the separation of California and Texas into independent states, creation of the Union State of Texas and Mexico, the subsequent victory of Elon Musk during the U.S. presidential election in some of the states assigned to the Republicans after the Civil War. Okay. Again, like, this is some shit that like Xeon predicted, right? Where if Texas were to leave, it would be closer with Mexico than it would the U.S. financially, right? They have a lot of money tied up in each other, right? Like Texas owns a lot of Mexico, right? Texas companies own a lot of Mexico. Most of southern Texas is Mexican by like blood, and a lot of mix in there too, right? And they take pride in that shit. They love Mexicans down there. Completely not outside of the realm of possibility. California has had a Cal exit movement for a while, right? Where like they either want to split up into different states, they want to fucking leave, like they don't want to be tied to us. None of us want them here. This is literally not outside of the realm of possibility, like at all. Elon Musk being president, the presidency is a popularity contest. So, I mean, again, not outside of the realm of possibilities, right? You know, depending on whether or not like the United States becomes a new country and writes a new constitution, right? Especially with, say you get a Republican constitution and you get some corporatists in there who say, you know, get rid of like that clause that say you have to be born in America to be a president, because there's been tons of like immigrants who's come in who like, we go, like Schwarzenegger, for instance, was one of the guys. Musk is another one. There's been a few throughout history where, like, if they had been born here, like, they most definitely probably would have been elected if they ran, right? Great patriots, that type of thing. So, I mean, this is... again, like me, you know me, I'm rooting for the national divorce. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of my mentality. Y'all can check out my videos on these type of things. Right. Like a wish list for me personally, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, like 100%, there's a lot of people who really don't like the federal government at all in any way, shape or form. Nobody likes the federal government, right or left or fucking center. Like, there's very few people that enjoy the government as it is. Like, they don't want to just change it. They want to drown it in a fucking bathtub. Like, yeah, Americans are on that level where like, yo, if they said, hey, look, man, listen, y'all want to get rid of it? Like, yo, because like, if we could get together and do that, we probably would. Like, keeping this 100% honest. You know, like, there's other ways of doing things. And the media is the only thing that's holding this together. And as more people are cutting the cords and the boomers are dying, like, these mentalities are changing very fucking quickly. You know, so I mean, not next year. I don't think it's going to happen in 2023. But, you know, things get hard enough, right? Like, because it's as, like TFM used to say, man, listen, like, when the pain of inaction becomes, you know what I'm saying, worse than the pain of action, or when the pain of action becomes, the pain of inaction becomes worse than the pain of action. Like, bro, like, motherfuckers will move. Like, that TV got to cut off first. You know what I'm saying? Like, that food got to get scarcer first. You can't be comfortable and fight a fucking war. You know what I mean? You don't fight a war when you're comfy. It's not how that shit works. All right. This is completely retarded. Transfer of all stock markets and financial activity from the U.S. and Europe to Asia. No. There's just nowhere that's safe enough and stable enough over there to do it. Maybe like Australia, maybe. But like, even then, there's just not enough productivity. Like, it's not, no. You know what I mean? Like, nobody has enough faith in anybody there. I mean, I see more of like a decentralized type of thing. Like, that would make way more sense. You know what I mean? But like, it's not, nobody has enough faith in those places to be able to go like, yeah, we trust you with the money. Like, no, you know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense to me. All right. 10, the collapse of the Bretton Woods financial system, including the collapse of the IMF and the World Bank, rejection of the euro and the dollar as the world reserve currencies, the return of the gold standard, transition to the active use of digital fiat currencies. Okay, so let's break this down piece by piece. The collapse of the Bretton Woods financial system. That's already in the works. It's already happening right now, including the collapse of the IMF and the World Bank. With the boomers dying, right, and retiring, and all the cheap money disappearing, and the investment disappearing, and the productivity disappearing, and the consumption disappearing, it's a fucking problem. You know, without all the excess, the ability to just swallow wholesale loans throughout the world kind of dissipates somewhat. Again, this isn't a next year thing, though. It's the next like 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very good possibility in the end of the day. This is not like outside of the realm of like some shit happening, but it's most definitely something that's like in the cards. Rejection of the euro and the dollar as the world reserve currencies. The dollar is the cleanest, dirtiest shirt in the hamper, right? That's kind of it's the cleanest, dirty shirt in the hamper. It's not great, but it's better than everybody else's shit, right? There's just nothing to replace it. And you go, what about Bitcoin? Central bank currencies. Like, yo, again, like none of these make any fucking sense either, right? Like, they're not bad for transferring large amounts of assets, right? But like when it comes to day to day, like using them as a normal like fucking currency, they're kind of don't make any sense, right? Because the cost of the transaction and the processing of the transaction is more valuable than the transaction a lot of the times for like, say, you know, go to the store, buy like a pack of smokes or a drink or, you know, I mean, candy bar or fucking, you know, you need like, you know, I don't know, burger, whatever it is, right? Like literally like these little $5 and $3 and $4 transactions will just destroy everything because just the amount of energy and computing and nonsense and garbage caught up with that, right, is so large that it just doesn't make any financial sense to use it for these smaller transactions in the end of the day. And that's where you run into the problem. It's literally not the macro, it's the micro. That's the issue with, you know what I mean, fiat, with the digital fiat currencies and shit, right? At the end of the day. The return of the gold standard, I have been wondering about this, right? I have been. Because when you have a shrinking population, right, and you have less people and less need, gold would make more sense. But you'd have to really limit world trade in order to do it. And you couldn't do world trade in gold itself. Like, because the problem is with gold is, and this is something that a lot of people don't understand about gold, is that so if you sell a whole bunch of things, right, basically what you're doing is you're taking gold from somebody else's country and putting it into your country, right? And then therefore their currency devalues and your currency strengthens. And so when your currency strengthens, all of a sudden you can buy a whole bunch of shit, right? But these people aren't able to buy shit, right? So then the labor price on in their end has to go up and the fucking labor price on your side has to go down, right? Like all of these type of little, like these nuances that when it comes down to the gold standard in a world trade thing, right? Where like you're trading across the world, this is where it doesn't make any sense unless you're just straight trading gold, period, right? Like if you're trading gold, period, that's fucking great. You know what I'm saying? That makes way more sense. But like, if you're not trading gold itself, like if you're not like getting paid in gold, right? And then like literally like, oh, like you go to the bank and you can take gold fucking nuggets out or whatever, fucking gold coins, right? That would be fine, right? But like, and that way, because like then you have a constant amount of value that you're getting, right? Like, you know, like this is how much this is worth, this is how much this costs, like this is how much gold I have, you know what I mean? These type of things. these are great. But the problem is, again, transport. Like, how do you move that much gold? Like, say you want to go buy a car. Do you like go get a fucking truck? You know what I mean? To like transport $20,000 worth of fucking gold? You know what I mean? Like, oh, or like say you want to buy a house. It's $200,000 worth of gold. I mean, at current prices today, that's like what 200 fucking ounces of fucking gold and shit, which isn't dumb heavy, but like it's still like you're lugging a fucking wheelbarrow of fucking gold and shit. You know what I mean? Like it's these type of things make stuff really difficult. You know what I mean? So, and then settling up contracts for things like shipping and logistics and transportation and fucking payrolls and all this type of stuff, having gold on hand to pay people. It's a logistical nightmare. And then there's not enough gold still because of the fact that like we still have 8 billion people on this fucking planet. There's literally not enough gold to fucking make everything go around. I think in the world, altogether, I think there's only like 10,000 tons of gold, something like that, in the entire world that's ever been dug up. So, you know, that's kind of where we are right now. You know, and you go, what about necklaces? Like, I mean, that's like, again, it's only like partial gold, like it's only a little bit, you know, how much does a necklace weigh? It's like what, half an ounce, some shit. Anyway, right, look. But, you know what I mean? What do y'all think? Tell me in the comment section. Holla at your boy. You know the deal. I'm Tom Peace. Like, share, and subscribe to shit. Holla at your boy. Peace be like one, man. I'm the fuck out of here.